The 1936 North American cold wave ranks among the most intense cold waves in recorded North American meteorological history. The states of the Midwest United States and the Prairie Provinces of Canada were hit the hardest, but only the Southwest and California largely escaped its effects. February 1936 was the coldest month recorded in the states of North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota, and rivals that of 1899, the coldest February on record for the continent as a whole. Only a few parts of the Great Basin, the Bering Sea coast of Alaska and the Labrador Sea coast of Canada were even close to the long-term means. The 1930s had previously seen some of the mildest winters in recorded North American climatic history: 1,931 in the northern plains and western Canada, 1,931, 1,932 in the east, 1,932, 1,933 in New England, and 1,933, 1,934 in the western United States. The northern plains had during the previous 11 years experienced 6 of the 10 warmest Februaries between 1895 and 1976, those of 1925, 1926, 1927, 1930, 1931 and 1935, with only February 1929 being severe during this period. Despite a warm March over most areas east of the Rockies, the extended winter from October to March was the 5th coldest on record over the conterminous United States and the coldest since 1917. The cold wave was followed by one of the hottest summers on record, the 1936 North American heat wave. Beginnings. The 1936 cold wave began in the plains in November 1935, when temperatures were well below normal in all areas west of the Mississippi, and the northwestern states and North Dakota had one of the coldest Novembers on record. December 1935 saw cold weather spread to the eastern half of the United States, when most places were much below average, and Florida saw its coolest December on record, with a mean temperature of 51.9 degrees Fahrenheit. Due to Chinook winds, however, Montana and British Columbia were significantly above average and the eastern plains near normal. January. The Plains states started to get a taste of what it would be like until March, as North Dakota saw an average temperature of -6.9 degrees Fahrenheit, and the whole of the United States east of the Rocky Mountains was colder than average. The month began with a mild spell in the eastern states, but from mid-month a huge storm moved across the eastern half of the country to cover that region completely by the 19th. In the process producing heavy snow and blocking almost all roads in the Appalachian Mountains. Several highway accidents from the snow were blamed for up to 100 deaths. In the subsequent weeks, as the cold continued, the sea froze partially as far south as Chesapeake Bay, and between 25 and the 28th of January the East had its coldest January spell for 18 years, with Washington, D.C. averaging 14 degrees Fahrenheit (-10.0 degrees Celsius). Severe winds made wind chills in some locations go down below -85 degrees Fahrenheit. In the Centralia district in Ohio, the cold completely destroyed the peach crop, whilst defective heaters caused numerous dangerous fires in Minnesota. Heavy snow and cold created dangerous conditions outside, and many people suffered from frostbite and hypothermia. February. February was by far the coldest month in the severe winter. The states of South Dakota, Minnesota, and North Dakota saw the coldest month on record with average temperatures below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, whilst in Canada, away from the Atlantic, temperature averaged as much as 36 degrees Fahrenheit to 20 degrees Celsius below normal. In Saskatoon, temperatures did not rise above 0 degrees Fahrenheit minus 17.8 degrees Celsius between January 11th and February 19th. As far south as Richmond, Virginia, rivers were completely icebound, and skis had to be used in rescue operations as a succession of snowstorms hit the Pacific Northwest and the whole nation east of the Divide. Thaws accompanied by heavy rain over the south led to flooding, but did not extend beyond the Mason-Dixon line, where food and fuel shortages had created critical situations by the end of the first week of February. More heavy snow and severe wind chills created very dangerous conditions over the 2 following weeks. By the middle of the month, all schools in the Midwest, Great Plains and Pacific Northwest were closed by deep snowdrifts, and medical aid was affected by a shortage of serum. Many remote South Dakota towns had not had outside contact for several weeks, and in Canada the situation was much worse, with road and rail transport suspended even in cities. Wind chills in some locations were near minus 100 degrees Fahrenheit, compelling some people to wear 7 layers of clothing before going outdoors. 2 states in this brutal February saw the coldest temperatures on record, minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit in McIntosh, South Dakota, and minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit in Parshall, North Dakota, whilst an unofficial reading of minus 60 Fahrenheit was also recorded from Jordan, Montana, and an official reading of minus 63 degrees Fahrenheit from Scepter, Saskatchewan. These 3 states also recorded all-time hot temperatures in July, less than 5 months later. 4 states saw the coldest winter on record: North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa. In one town in Iowa, the average winter temperature was 31 degrees Fahrenheit below average, whilst at Devil's Lake, North Dakota, the average temperature for the 5 weeks ending February 21st was minus 21 degrees Fahrenheit minus 29.4 degrees Celsius. At the peak of the cold wave, stores in the plains were estimated to generally have only 2 days' supply left. Thaw. In the final week of February, a thaw finally came to the nation. Temperatures rose above freezing for the first time in up to 11 weeks. The warming led, however, to avalanches in the Pacific Northwest, where 3 people were killed on Snoqualmie Pass on February 24. Above average to near average temperatures were recorded throughout the United States in March, except for the Pacific Northwest, which was not hit as hard by this cold wave as by those of 1949 and 1950. The heavy winter snowfalls and freezing of the ground, along with the wettest March on record in the Northeast, led to record floods in most of the region's rivers, especially on smaller tributary streams.